Hi, I'm Craig Wilson, editor of Stuff Magazine South Africa, and today I'm taking a look at the DJI Spark. This is the latest in DJI's range of ultra-portable drones, and it follows close on the heels of the Mavic. This isn't aimed at quite the same user as the Mavic, because for starters the camera only shoots 1080p video as opposed to 4K, but it's also capable of 12 megapixel stills and a bunch of tricks like gesture controls that you don't find on DJI's higher-end drones. At least not yet. Some of them could conceivably be added with a firmware update. And on a related note, some of the gesture controls on this still feel a little hit and miss. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but that's the sort of thing we fully expect to see improved as more and more updates roll out for this. We've already had to do an update after getting it straight out of the box, and that's added some new gesture control to it. As you can see, the Spark's an incredibly compact package. It also weighs in at a mere 300 grams. But one thing we can tell you off the bat from one day of flying this is you're really going to want to invest in spare batteries. Battery life is at best 16 minutes, and that's really stretching it. At most you're going to get about 10 to 15. And while that's not bad given the diminutive proportions of the Spark, it's a little frustrating, because just as you're getting into the swing of things, it's time to land. And if you don't have another battery on hand, it'll take a full hour to an hour and a half to recharge it. There's a 2-axis gimbal on this as opposed to the 3-axis one found on some of the higher end models. But it's still incredible. The way it follows you if you twist the drone around once it's on, it's almost like it's reading your mind and predicting the next movement. The obvious benefits of that are super smooth video and stills when it's in flight. Once you've got it up in the air, you can get it up to about a height of 50 meters before it starts telling you that you're running out of range. But that's when you're using the Wi-Fi only. Of course, if you get the dedicated controller, that range improves immensely. The on-screen controls are really simple. The one on the right adjusts the camera, peering up and down. You've only got 2 axes to choose from, so you can't, unfortunately, move it left and right at the same time. For that, you have to move the actual drone. As you can see, there's a large amount of info available, and a lot of this you can adjust in the settings. But the key things are the right-hand controller here to adjust the angle of the camera, and the 2 on-screen controls here. This adjusts altitude when you drag it up and down, and rotates the drone. The other controller, meanwhile, is for actually flying it. That moves it forwards and backwards, while that moves it left and right. You can see at the bottom you also get the current speed and other important information like altitude. If you're flying on Wi-Fi only, you really want to be careful not to fly it too far away, or you can lose connectivity. But there is also a bring back home function, and if the drone strays too far away, it'll come back to the home point that was set when you initially sent it up. There's also a whole range of settings you can adjust if you dig a little deeper into the menus. And over here we have a bunch of the gesture controls. Now at the moment it's a little bit far away for these to work, but the idea is that you can do things like make a frame shape with your hand when it's a little closer, and it'll shoot a picture of you. You can also get it to follow your hand gestures and do some basic flying at pretty close range. And with active track, you can set it to track a moving object, like downhill mountain biking or that sort of thing, and you want the drone to follow you. But again, just bear in mind that you've only got so much time, so you don't want to get too carried away or get it too far away from you, because you might have a hard time getting it back. Of all the drones we've played with, none of them have been as simple to use straight out of the box as the DJI Spark. For a start, there's the minimal controls on the actual device. This button on the rear lets you check the battery remaining, or lets you turn it on or off. Other than that, there's just this flap, which contains the charging port, which is micro USB, and a slot for a micro SD card, to which your images and video are saved. Around the front, there's the 12 megapixel camera that's also capable of 1080p video, and there's a sensor, and this helps it with obstacle avoidance. There's another sensor on the bottom to help with landing and other obstacle avoidance. The rotor blades fold flat on top of one another for easy storage, and spin out and open themselves when you set it to take off. 2 switches on the sides of the battery allow you to remove it, so it's really easy to swap in a new one. The DJI Spark is without doubt the easiest drone to get up in the air out of the box. You literally just charge it up, download the app, turn it on, connect the app over Wi-Fi, and you're pretty much good to go. The on-screen controls are really handy. There are some limitations when you're only using a cell phone or a tablet as the controller though, and primary amongst those is the range. You're going to be limited to an altitude of about 50 meters and a range of about 100 meters away from you. So if you want to get more out of it, you're going to want to invest in the dedicated controller, and you're definitely going to want some spare batteries. Of course, if you're buying one of the kits that includes additional batteries and other accessories, you're going to push the price substantially higher than the 8,500 Rand that it currently retails for. And in that case, we have to wonder whether you wouldn't be better off considering something like the Mavic Pro, which, while a bit larger, has rotor arms that fold flat, and which gives you added battery life and of course the option to shoot 4K video. The downside of the Mavic is you're still looking at spending about 20,000 Rand, which is substantially more than you'll spend on the Spark. As an introduction to drone flying and drone photography, there is no better device on the market at the moment.